light the forge again. It's a little windy, but I don't think it's too bad. There's a bit of coal in there. I've just been burning birch wood in the forge because the coal, it makes too many clinkers way too fast. So I kind of given up on coal. It just seems like a waste of time. Made a bit of a flaw designing this firebox. No, I should have. No, these things should be at the bottom of the deck here. I mean, I tried to cut that with my plasma cutter right here, but couldn't get through it. So if we get the acetylene torch going, we can just cut it off along here, I guess. But I hardly use it, so it hardly matters. And I have a bunch of wood. I'll store in there. And here are these nice hammers I fixed. Keep those in there. Yeah, and that's pine in there. There's a little bit of birch left. But just find like some old cardboard or something. Okay, so here's the blower. Here's got low, high. And then this here is the temperature switch. And because it has a hot air shedding, and the hot air shedding blows a bit faster. That's probably not necessary, but let's wait for that to turn into coals, and then we can start forging. kind of crooked. There's not a lot I can do about that. And this vise needs some parts in it. So this here, I need to straighten that actually quite a bit. I don't know how good of a shot this is going to be because I have to hammer it here. This isn't the best anvil for this because it's a rail and it's not solid steel, so it has a little bit of a bounce to it. It's still okay though. And now I got it straight, let's bend that the proper way. So I'm straightening it a bit more right now, as straight as I can. It's got kind of a wobble in it. It doesn't really matter though. This vise is covered, needs parts in it. It's nice having rebar around. Rebar is pretty good for blacksmithing. There's better stuff too. Depends on what you're making. That's pretty straight. I'll put a bend in it. I think that was about 5 minutes that this thing was in there for. Deep enough. That's what I was looking for. That's nice and hot now. Actually, it burnt a little. That's okay though. And I made a spot with a grinder where I wanted to bend it. If I can find it again. So much work on it. It cooled down, but it's still hot enough to be able to eat easily. Get a bar, I think this works better. See if it fits. Actually the other way, and I need to go learn how to eat candy. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. I have a lesson and it's called How to Eat Candy. So we're gonna learn some stuff and then we'll come back and bend that. I bent it the wrong way, we'll bend it the other way. We learned how to eat candy, so now let's build the fire back up. Good fuel. Good enough for what I'm doing now. let that burn for a while. That's nice and hot. Oh, it's so easy to bend. We'll see if that fits. So I'm making a piece to go here. That's a bit too long. Well, the first one I did fit, so now we make one for the other side. Yeah, making a piece to go in here. Scoot up a little more. I think this is a common forging trick, using your legs to hold the tongs if you need to. Hey, why did I take that tool off? You could almost do this without heating this rebar, but it's more likely to break. So heating it definitely makes a difference. You know, you pretty well have to heat it. And you could also do this with an acetylene torch, but ours is not working for some reason. It's just a flame thrower. It's not making enough heat to do this job, so I'm just using it. It's kind of an excuse to use the forge for kind of a first time, even though, you know, I've used it before, but I never really did any business things out of it. Like, I never did any industrial. I've just kind of played around with it, but never really used it for important things. And now this is the first time I'm really using it, because I have to make a part to weld onto this thing. And this is an Easy On. I'm probably going to publish the video of the Easy On before this forging video comes out. To be bent a little more, I think. Yeah. A bit of coal stuck to there. Where's that mark? Maybe I should just flatten it and try it again. I'm so used to cold forging stuff, like bending small pieces of metal. I haven't done that much forging. Pretty straight. Where's the mark? Alright. Let's see how long it takes to heat this up in a 99% wood forge. I like the fact that there's no clinkers when you use a wood forge. Clinkers are impurities in the coal. They melt and then they turn into this kind of rock in there, and you gotta break them and remove them, and it's kind of annoying. Cut some more fuel, which is blocks. Blocks are fuel. I'm gonna have to cut more fuel for this thing probably the next time I use it, because I've already used a lot. But wood burns, this wood burns pretty fast. This is pine. You know, maybe a bit of spruce, and I started out with a little bit of birch. The birch is harder, but I want to try the fir. I want to see how good the fir works for wood forging. The minute I turn the switch on, we'll see how long it takes to turn it to heat up to a good temperature. Let's see, that should be warm enough now. Or warm enough to bend anyway. If I was doing, like, making a knife or something, I'd probably want to use entirely coal. Yeah, that's that's almost what you'd want for a knife. Let's try that. I think we're getting closer. Making this thing fit on there. It's kind of a boring video, but it's the first forging video, so may as well edit it. Almost. Not quite. And this time I'll just bend that in. Now these coal boxes really like packed fuel. Tends to work better when I pack the fuel. Minute? No, that's good enough. Yeah, I think that's close enough to weld. I don't want to play around with this all night, so I'm sure it's about 7 o'clock right now. But yeah, I think, it doesn't fit as good as I wanted it to, but it's close enough, I think. Yeah, I'm sure that's close enough. So now, let's play around with something else in the forge. Got a few ideas. So I got some scrap aluminum here. Let's just see what we can find. I'm not really melting it for any purpose. I just want to melt it just for fun, I guess. I've melted aluminum once before. I don't know if I totally trust this, but do a different type of alloy or something. Yeah, I think that's fine. Give that a try, I guess. It's like a gear or something. But you can always add stuff later if you really want to. Let's go see if that'll melt. I guess I could cut up this too. We don't use aluminum here, and I can't weld it. So. There's ways to weld aluminum, but we don't have any of that. This is what I can use to, I just shoved a couple of pieces of pipe on there, and this is what I can hopefully use to get the crucible out of the fire. Video taking this part off my motorcycle. It's an earlier video on my channel, you should go check it out. And this is gonna get recycled into something. It's amazing, I can just stick my hands in there. Here's a moment of truth. You can get that thing out of there. Molten aluminum right there. And I got some holes. I think there was different types of aluminum in there at once, so that's maybe why that bubble did that. Fill it up, put more in there. Didn't quite melt, but that'll be another day because I need to finish this project. I melted some here. This one didn't turn out super nice. I think there were different alloys in it or something weird happened. This one, these two are amazingly white for some reason. These are nice pieces of aluminum. I'll polish that up. Like melted pieces of aluminum. So, yeah. There's, I think, different types of alloy in this. I might be able to melt that down again, but this kind of went weird. And then I have a pile of scrap metal. guess if I ever needed to make an aluminum part, a casting part, or that, I guess that would work. This is just steel garbage. That's for sculpture building. And my dad makes sculptures. And then I have a bin here with aluminum engines and stuff like that. Aluminum pile. The plan is to make a fancy knife out of this. So let's see what, I think I'm gonna cut this part off like that. And then, yeah, we'll kind of see how it works. You know, it's kind of thick for a knife, but it'll be like an old-fashioned sword or something. I like how it has that little thing on the top. Yeah, basically I'm gonna start by cutting across like that, and just cut that part out, and then it's like grinding and some other stuff, I guess. It was like a blizzard out there, mainly just a whole bunch of wind. So that's kind of the nice basic shape of the blade. But this piece of metal is the wrong piece of metal to be using to make a good knife. No, I'm not going to be hardening this. I'm just going to, basically just going to make an edge with the grinder. I like the really rough look of knives. I made some, and then they disappeared. I don't know where they got to. But I made a few knives before out of steel. And just kind of rough looking knives. I don't know where they got to, they're lost. But this is kind of the basic idea of the knife. It's like a butchered knife almost, but I don't know, I guess it is a butchered knife. But this is kind of an old rusty piece of steel to be using for this project if you wanted to make it really nice. And the blade is not on the center properly, but I'm going to touch it up with one of these little grinders with a flap wheel on there. Or actually I have a few others I could try. Maybe to get a bit more of that rust off. And then this wing here will deal with that. And yeah. Just touch up the blade a bit first. I suppose I could probably heat treat this if I wanted to. That means quenching it to make the steel harder. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Yeah, it's sharp. I mean, I made it sharp with the sanding wheel. It's decently sharp, but to make it a knife, you probably want to heat treat this. Pretty sharp though. Now, if you watch the series called Troll Hunters, it's an animated series made by DreamWorks, I think. And it's all about trolls, and the main character is called the Troll Hunter. That's an odd name, but in that movie there is one troll, and his name is Bular, and he's one of the villains, and he has a couple of swords similar to this. They're like really big knives, and that's kind of what I base this on. Now, I like the wingy thing there. So I could make this into a really nice quality knife. I could quench that. It turned out way better than I thought it was. I mean, there's like one little spot with a nick, but I was actually kind of surprised. And the edge, now look at it like that. Yeah, it's a little, when I look at it in person, it's not quite in the center, but it's not badly off center either. So I guess I could heat treat this in the future, but I think that's pretty good. I'm kind of tired, so I'm going to finish this another day, but this is as far as we'll get today. I like what it's become. It's not quite, it's a little bit of a thick knife, so you can't quite stick it in wood. I've made a few swords, but I couldn't find them. This one, it looks nice the way it is, but I think to make this a really nice blade and make it sharp, I need to heat treat it. So I'm kind of just thinking about it, and then put a handle on it, maybe cut the handle. I think that's a little bit long. But I think this would make a decent sword if I just heat treated the steel to make it harder, and then it would be sharpenable. Because normal steel, you can't really sharpen it. Doesn't hold an edge. And then this here is a copper sword I made. It's copper, and it's not quenched. It doesn't hold an edge either, but I don't really care. I think it's safer, because then you can look at it, and then you can pick it up, and you're probably not going to get cut from it. So it's starting to oxidize, but this was nice and shiny when I made it. And this is the thick thing. I just made this because it was copper. This is not coated. This is pure copper. That's a thick piece of copper there. This piece of copper came from the other property. So I don't know what. This is off of a pulp mill, something big and electrical off of a pulp mill probably. And then I just got the handle of a file, put that on there. And I made this sword in, I think, only a few hours, which I can't believe I did that. I mean, I put the handle on it and everything, and only took a few hours, which is kind of a short amount of time for making a sword or knife. So, but I'll do a video of all the shiny weapons I've made, or just polished up and resurfaced them. I used to watch videos of forging on YouTube, so I could probably start using it and do some stuff. Like, I'm thinking of quenching this blade, and then I'd have to do all the polishing again, but I think it would be worth hardening. I don't know. Probably would be. I think that turned out a lot better than I thought it would. It's like a troll sword, like a really unique knife. And before I harden it, I think I'll get the welder and just weld up that little crack. Or, not really a crack, it's just a crease from when this piece of steel was cut out. Because this was a piece of scrap. And so I think my uncle just cut parts off of it, and this was just a piece of scrap left over from just a sheet of steel. So this one's also kind of a thick sword. It's about the same thickness as that one. But this one sure looks interesting. I really like the way it looks. I think this one is worth hardening. I don't know about copper. I don't know if you can harden copper in the same way. But this one I like the way it is. I don't really want to sharpen it. This one, no, maybe I should just put a handle on it and not sharpen it, because it's kind of sharp now. But I don't know, I like to handle them, so I think it's better to keep it unsharp, because they're more like wall ornaments. I mean, I could make a useful, I should try making a useful knife that would be sharp. But yeah, so I guess that kind of wraps up the first video on using the forge. I will do more forging in the future, hopefully.